Welcome to another In Wheel Time podcast, a 30-minute mini version of the In Wheel Time car show that airs live every Saturday morning, 8 to 11 a.m. Central. Live on the iHeartRadio network and the Smoke and Mirrors network. Every network known to man. It's the In Wheel Time car talk show. Coming up, we talk with Tim Eisenmann, CEO of Torqata Tier 4 Tires. We're going to find out what Tier 4 tires are. I drove the 2024 Chevy Trax, and I'll give you my impression of it. It's all new. We'll also hear the Cruise-In calendar. Conrad has that, and Conrad also has This Week in Auto History. And I'll bring in the stories making automotive news headlines this week. Just ahead on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Howdy, along with Mike Out of This World Mars, we need more Jeff Zekin. King Conrad DeLong. I just got to throw you for a loop there just a little bit.
Loopy.
Well,
tortillas.
That's it. I'm Don Armstrong. Glad you could join us on this Saturday for our live version of the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. It's always on 8 to 11 a.m. every Saturday. And then we, of course, podcast and, do all sorts of... Rebroadcast. We'll do all that as well throughout the week. So if you happen to miss a segment of the show that you wanted to catch, then you can always do the podcast thing. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
If you mustered.
Now let's go to Tim Eisenmann. He's the CEO of Torqata Tier 4 Tires. Tim, good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Well, we're doing very well, thank you, and it's good to have you with us on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. The Torqata Tier 4 tires. Now, I have a tire guy here, Jeff Zekin, who's been in the tire industry for most of his professional career. So then I asked him, I said, what is Tier 4 tires? He says, beats me. So it's going to be up to you to explain to us what Tier 4 tires are.
Oh, for sure. Well, first of all, we work in the entire tire space. Tier 4 tires are really interesting. Basically, it's a way to classify the price points of tires. Tier 1 tires are the ones that you've probably all heard of, the Michelins and Contis of the world. Tier 2, maybe the more enthusiast brand. And then Tier 4 tires are the lower-end brands, the ones that you might get at a big box shop, maybe the private label tires, the ones that, if you're on a budget, you would probably go for. And they've actually been doing really well in the market, given the economy and so on right now.
Well, that's one of those things that I've always steered clear of, is the non-brand name tires when I go to buy tires. And when I was shopping for Leslie's Jaguar, oh my gosh, those things on a Michelin or a Pirelli or whatever, those things are stupidly priced. And I thought, no, they wouldn't be offering these tires. It's a discount tire store brand. And I thought, why not? Okay, so it doesn't have, a 75,000 mile warranty on it. It's got like 35 or 50,000. Fine.
And what he's described is basically a good, better, best.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah. And so I'm with you. I mean, why not?
Well, and tires have to meet a federal rating standard. So those rating standards talk about the tire, not necessarily the name brand. The name brand brings price.
Well, you also have to consider the application, because a tow trailer tire is going to be different than an off-road tire, different than an all-season tire, different than a mud tire. So that's where you have a good, better, best in each one of those categories. But so far as what the DOT does is based on that application, what you're trying to put it on.
Yeah. And so these tires matched up to the Jaguar F-Pace, and they look good. And they're getting great wear out of them, and why not?
There you go. Well, and a lot of consumers are basically having exactly the same thought process, because why spend $250 on the wheel? I mean, ultimately, you're spending more than $1,000, and that's just tricky. So what we've seen is that overall store visits are down. People are trying to, save money. But where we see growth is the kind of lower end, lower price tire, more affordable, a little more budget. Interesting fact also, a lot of people aren't replacing 4 tires anymore. If they've got a blowout, they replace 1. So we've seen a drop of more than 20% of consumers actually just buying a tire or 2 in order to not have to replace all 4 wheels on the vehicle.
Well, I matter of fact, I was faced with that because she had one oddball tire that didn't match the rest of them as far as brands are concerned. And I thought, okay, well, that one oddball, I'm going to get rid of it and also get rid of the one that had the flat, and I'll just buy 2. And then I started looking and I thought, No, because the other ones are going to need to be replaced here in the next 6-9 months.
Do it all at
once. I said, just do it all at once. So that's what I did because of the affordability of this lower price tire.
Which one did you go for, if I may ask?
I don't know what the name of it is. I actually looked at it the other day. Some name on the side of the tire that I've never even heard of before.
But it's a discount tire house brand.
It's a discount tire house brand. I don't know, whatever it is.
Yeah, probably private label brand, which honestly, if you're looking for good bang for your buck, makes a lot of sense. Usually those tires are made by the name brand manufacturers, the Contis and the Nittos and the Nexens. They just have a different name on them. So they use extra capacity in the factories to make them for.
Okay, now let's talk about this company called Torqata.
Yes, sir.
Tell me, talk about it.
Well, it's a great company. And what we do is we track 15,000 shops daily. So that means we know what they're selling, what they're keeping in stock, what they're pricing all their products. We aggregate all that data using fancy stuff that's beyond what I do, but I've got people that know. We aggregate all that data and identify which sizes, which tires are trending in the market. And for shop owners, what should they actually stock on their shelves, right? So that they can satisfy consumer demand. Because with the last 20 years, we've seen size proliferation. So many different tire types have entered the market. It is really difficult to know what to keep in stock, to satisfy customers. And so what we do is we help the individual shop owners do better at that and get more out of their inventory investments.
So you do more of a retail inventory management program for shops. So it's,
that's right.
Yeah, it's if you have these in stock, best bet these are what are going to sell. Versus having some odd-sized tire that you may only sell one of every 3 years.
To that point, when working with General Motors and Ford and things in the past, they had an application called OE Connection, where you could actually put inventories in. You could actually set minimums, maximums. If you got a set of 4 tires in there, you set it to 2. So every time you sell 2, you get 2 replenished. So that's the way we dealt with not overstock, but supplying inventory for the main dealerships. And of course, there's brands that are like strictly for Ford, brands that are strictly for General Motors, and things of that nature. So you kind of have to have that balance on what they're stocking for their customers. Another good way is just the demographics in the area. You can get reports and through zip codes, and who through the DMV find out Conrad's got a Cadillac, you got a Corvette, Mike's got a Yugo. All of those things, you can kind of find out what kind of tires they have to stock.
That's exactly it. For folks that know the industry, OE Connection in the dealer space is the perfect analog for what we do in the aftermarket for the independents. Inventory management is a big one. We also help around pricing, right? We aggregate and get to zip code level pricing indices because a lot of retailers don't have their prices online, right? And so we're able to pull brick and mortar prices. Say that a certain a Michelin Pilot Sport goes for 125 within that specific zip code. You're selling it for 145 and you're wondering, why are people not buying from me? Well, it might be because you're overpriced. So pricing intelligence, inventory intelligence. And then we take all of that and package it up for the tire distributors and manufacturers. Because given the market being so fragmented, it is really hard for Michelin or the large distributors to figure out which tires to make, how many of which, and where to place it. And as a result, and that's what shop owners are encountering today, it is really hard to get tires because usually there are not enough, they're not in the right place, and they're hard to come by. And so that if a consumer walks into my door and I tell them, I can get you that tire in 3 or 4 days, I might lose that sale.
Right.
So we're trying to help shop owners to not have that happen.
Right.
So because I think they say, 80% of the time when people are asked to buy tires, they're going to buy from the first person that asks them.
Right. Yes, 75 to 80% the first time you're offered to buy it, they will. And
so you need to have them in stock to do that.
Also, 75% of those people that buy from you at the first go are return shoppers and return buyers to you as well. So that kind of trickles down. But you said something about the OE Connection and things. It's a matter of what they're selling. It may be an oddball size every now and then or somebody that blows through town. You have to be prepared for those as well.
So your product is primarily available to the independent repair facilities, or is it publicly available?
No, it's independent repair facilities, first and foremost. We put a couple of things out there just to educate the public, but it's independent repair shops, smaller chains. We've got a couple of larger chain customers. They're not really buying our software product, but more our data. They've got their own forecasting engines and their own inventory management systems, but they benefit from kind of knowing what the market around them looks like. And so we provide them that data. And then, as I said, we're also servicing the kind of upstream part of the supply chain, distributors and manufacturers, with that market intelligence to make sure that, you know, they can optimize their production cycles and their inventory management practices. Because ultimately, as a distributor, you want to stock what your customers are going to sell. If you don't know what your customers are selling, it's really hard to stock.
You'd also mentioned things about the internet back in the day when you wanted to price match. Okay, you've got a tire for $100 on sale. Don may have it for $120. Well, I'm going to price match this. It used to be the old school rule was it had to have been a brick and mortar store. You could not price match to an internet, because internet you just blow the market out for everybody. So it was only within a certain radius of that dealership, and also it had to be whether the product's going to sell.
Yeah. Well, the issue happened already, right? Because if you get a price match, it takes a couple of minutes. You probably have to make a couple of phone calls to validate that. What we're trying to help independent shops is to not be out of whack on pricing. Sure, plus minus 5% makes sense, but in a lot of cases, it is really hard to price, given that there's so many different tires out there and they change over time. Especially over the last couple of years with raw material prices increasing, logistics costs increasing. We've seen price increases across all tiers of tires. Just recently in Q1, you look at the tier 1, the Michelins and the Conti tires. The average tire has gone up by $30. So for a set of 4, you're looking at $100 more you're spending now versus a year ago, and of course decreases for the lower end tires. But so pricing is really a margin enhancer for a lot of shops, and ultimately something that consumers are, of course, very hard.
And then the OEs changing their tire requirements as well. You got to think back in the 90s, a 15-inch wheel, 15-inch tire was kind of the norm. And the 16s were +1 and the 17s were +2. They were considered exotic in a way. And now 16s, 17s, 18, 19s, 20, 22s are OEM production tires, so that range of inventory has to match that range of tire sizes that are being offered through the OEs.
Totally. I mean, I have so many conversations with shop owners that, you know what, Tim, back in the day, there's 20, 30 sizes and types, that's really easy to keep track of. And now there's 1,000 different ones. I literally thousands. Just heard that every year, more than 100 different size type combinations enter the market. It's just really difficult if you're running a shop, taking care of customers, have a hard time to have your store fully staffed, to then also be an expert in pricing and inventory management. It's just asking a lot.
Yeah.
So your product is purely informational and predictive selling, not that you have a warehouse of tires that you're selling out of.
No, we don't do any of that. We integrate with, I would say, the predominant shop management systems, the Mitchell Ones and RO Riders and ASAs and whatnot, right? So we've got, 40 different integrations so that we can pull data without having to ask the retailer to do any manual extracts. And then in a lot of ways, we also push that data back into the shop management system, right? So that if they're using RO Rider or Mitchell One for inventory management, we basically provide the recommendations and the stocking levels back into Mitchell One, so that the shop owner doesn't have to operate 2 different systems.
Have you heard of a new DMS system called TechMetric?
Absolutely.
Yeah, TechMetric is based out of Houston, that was developed and is sold out of the Houston market. Pretty amazing RMS or DMS system for the independent shops.
Great piece of software. I would say the big ones right now, TechMetric and ShopMonkey is another one out of Silicon Valley. They got a lot of venture capital funding and are really investing in the product. But we're still seeing high degrees of fragmentation. As you know, there's 200,000 plus different repair shops, a lot of them, family businesses that have operated for, 50, 60, 70 years, and changing kind of the behavior of these shop owners to change the shop management system is really cumbersome. So I think that degree of fragmentation we'll continue to see, but over time, I can see a TechMetric and a ShopMonkey probably roll up the market a little bit. Take a
Interesting. And so far as the price differences and things on that, if you can sell to the consumer a peace of mind that you've got the tire and you're there to service them throughout the duration of that tire, that's a selling point as well. So the money doesn't really, it contributes to the buy or not buy, but then you have to sell yourself on what it is for your customer.
Totally. And ultimately, It's actually a really interesting value proposition to the manufacturers as well. When I look at the average tire shop owner, the amount of money they make on the back end, right, through the rewards programs and incentive programs can be up to 30-40% of the overall profitability.
Wow.
And so managing that is really tricky. So when I go to Michelin, my value proposition to them is, hey, I can help the retailers that are on the Michelin program have the right product in their stocking screen, always have it in stock, always be priced well, and make sure that they sell that Michelin product to the end consumer. And so manufacturers really like our platform and our program because it gives them a little more influence over what actually happens at retail. Because good retail for Michelin-aligned dealers means more volume for Michelin. And so we're seeing the manufacturers really promote our software in order to help their retailers that are selling their brands.
And then also integrate the retail portion of that because, so many of these manufacturers on and off over time offer rebates back to the customer, buy 4, get, $100 off, $100 gift card or something. And all of the retail locations aren't actively aware of those changes in the retail rebate programs the tire manufacturers offer. In many cases, the consumer has the responsibility to research that rebate that's available on the tires because most of the retailers really don't pay much attention to
Tim,
that.
do you sell your service to these dealers, or how do you get paid?
Are you a subscription service?
Yeah, we've got a free version that we give to our retailers because ultimately they also pay us in their data. We take good care of the data, anonymize it, and so on, of course. So we've got a free version. We've got a subscription service, which is relatively cheap, $25 a month for retailers. And then we make most of our money upstream with the manufacturers and the distributors. They've got deeper pockets, and for them, a $100,000 software or data buy is a little easier to come by than from a retailer. So it's a combination, I would say. And I'd also tell you there's a lot of entities that you might not necessarily think of that are very interested in understanding demand for tires, at the daily level. Think about companies that, produce that operate rubber plantations or that bet on tire stocks in the financial segment. They really want to know how many consumers walked into the store yesterday and how many tires did they buy. And so is Goodyear stock good or bad? And so we help them with making that determination.
Well, there's also the other side of that. For instance, like fleets, Amazon trucks. My God, how many tires do they go through a day nationwide?
Oh, yeah. Thousands.
It's a ton. And I mean, then you look at major tailwinds like electric vehicles going through tires significantly faster given the size of the vehicle. And so the tire industry, I think, is relatively future-proof. Given the change in the car park overall. And so that's why we focused on that segment of the market because we believe it's here to stay.
So you focus primarily on the automotive and the light truck tire. Do you also do the Class 8 over-the-road tractor-trailer stuff?
Predominantly passenger and light truck tires. We do a little bit of commercial work. But here's the hard thing in all of what we do. Sure, the algorithms are fancy and whatnot, but ultimately, the fragmentation is the hard thing to overcome. 200,000 repair shops, 200 different shop management systems, probably 1 million shop associates, and everyone enters data slightly differently. And every shop management system asks you to enter data slightly differently. So the Goodyear Assurance tire is probably Goodyear Assurance in one shop management system. It's GY Assurance in another one. It's just Assurance in another one. It's Goodyear manufacturer tire number in the next one. And so what we do, so you take all of these different data feeds, match them against a product master so that we can standardize them and work with the data. That's the secret sauce. And so we started with the biggest chunk of the market, which is passenger and medium truck tires.
Well, to that point too, getting back to the dealerships, when you fulfill inventory, there is a part number of the tire, and then General Motors has their own specific part number for that tire as well. And in order for the replenish to work, you have to put it under the General Motors or Ford, for instance,
OEM part number.
OEM part number because it won't accept it.
And then there's a SKU number,
right,
which is internal to the tire industry that's different from the OE part number.
But to keep that replenishment going, you use the OEM's number.
And I tell you, the dealer space is probably 10 years ahead of the aftermarket in a lot of these ways, right? Be it technology and data and so on. So we aspire to be that for the aftermarket. But I can't really force thousands of repair shops to enter data a certain way. So I need to build a machine that's able to discern it and ultimately put it into the same format.
So do you have a website people can go look at?
Torqata.com. Sign up, get a demo. We sent out a really cool newsletter for repair shops and anyone that's interested in tires. So a bunch of the stats that I shared with you today around, what's the foot traffic in the stores, tire kind of increases and decreases by size, price increases. We make that available to the public. Torqata.com, sign up for a demo or our Trends and Treads newsletter, and you'll always be in the know.
Cool. Torqata, Torqata.
That's it.
Very, very good. Tim, it's great to talk to you. Insightful information that I had no clue about.
Really?
Mars is sitting over there with his mouth open going,
I know.
what in the world
I'm
are they talking
notes,
about? Yeah, he's taking notes. Yeah. Okay, I'll buy that. Tim, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Good luck to you. Stay in touch with us.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, sir. I love that.
Where was he from? Where was he calling in from? We didn't ask him.
We didn't ask him, but it's certainly not Georgia.
Okay.
No.
And maybe,
Germany. He's in Germany.
Maybe Georgia.
Actually, you know what? I kind of thought of Wales.
Wales?
He lives in L.A., but he's got a German background.
Right. Okay. All right.
Suburb of Orca.
Time now for the cruise-in calendar. And I don't know how you separate the cruise-in calendar from the event calendar,
I don't.
You don't.
They're all interrelated.
No, they're not.
This is in Tennessee.
So, Steak and Shake Car Show this afternoon.
I like steak and shakes.
At 4490 Crow Road in Beaumont, Texas.
You going to go to Crow this afternoon?
I know where that is.
Do you?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And did you know there's a Steak and Shake there?
Yeah.
No, does he? Not you. You don't know that.
It's right there by the mall, isn't it?
Hey, and for a long time, before the crowbar was invented, crows used to drink alone.
Oh, my God.
Dad jokes. The 2023 Corvette Car Show at St. Luke Missionary Baptist Church. Didn't realize the Baptists were missionary.
Just go on.
Never mind.
Keep going.
Keep going. Don't stop now.
And that's
Bottoms up.
at 11 a.m. tomorrow as well. The Toyo X at NRG Center off of Fannin is JDM only show, which is not Jewish.
Jewish domestic market?
Japanese domestic market cars.
Jewish domestic.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Bunch of little short
Shalom.
Very frugal.
Michael Garfield, where are you?
So if you're into the JDM cars, tomorrow at noon at Energy Center should be a lot of fun.
Shalom.
The Hot City Automotive Car Meet, 2214 North Fraser in Conroe is tomorrow starting at noon. And the Caesar Fire at VFW Post 3892 off of Harker Heights, Texas, starts at noon tomorrow. And then Rods on Lincoln at the Courtyard Cafe off of Lincoln Avenue in Groves, Texas. Got to get another shot out there for the Golden Triangle.
All right. Thank you, sir. Time now for this hour's car review. Had a chance to drive the 2024 Chevy Trax. Here are the trim levels. They start with the LS, go to 1RS, then LT, then 2RS, and then Active. I reviewed the 2024 Active trim level for the Chevy Trax. This is a small station wagon.
That's an understatement.
I cannot believe that the government calls it a station wagon. Does anybody even make a station wagon?
I can't believe they call it small because I would call this micro.
Tiny.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's got more room than that. It's a small. It's a small SUV, is what it really is.
That's the one Kylie sat in at the auto show,
and she liked it. Yeah. 5 people it will hold, including the driver. Complete redesign for 2024. Sharp grille, nicely proportioned body, nice grooves, and nice little special entrebouts on the side of it.
Accoutrement.
Black wheel opening moldings on it. Gives it that off-road appeal. Fastback tailgate with a sunshade, wraparound headlights. Wheels change with the trim level. What could use improvement? Nothing. Interior highlights. The dash is eye-catching with separate pods for gauges and infotainment. Well-placed controls, bright metal accents on the upper trim levels. Get it. It looks really good. Comfortable seating with cool cloth. Upscale features for entry-level SUV, cargo and trunk room, second row folded down, room for golf clubs back there, believe it or not. So there you go. It's not as tiny as you think it may be. What I liked about it, the handiness of the controls on the interior, what could use improvement. All I can say about that is more stuff, more money. And this is a cost-conscious vehicle. Okay, here's for you, Conrad, a 1.2-liter three-cylinder engine, non-turbo. It cranks out a whopping 137 horsepower and 162 pound-feet of torque.
Whopping.
Miles per gallon, 28 city, 32 highway for combined to 30, and that's where the money lies right there.
What'd you
I
get?
got 29.5 over
Pretty good.
308.1 miles. What I liked about it, the mileage. What could use improvement? It needs a little goose in the power department. Just saying.
where
That's
the
just
turbo
me.
comes
Turbo supercharger.
Yeah, do something. Yeah, I'm okay with the
LS.
three-cylinder. It acts like a four-cylinder. And, ride and handling. Choppy due to its short wheelbase, but that's the nature of the size of the car. Base trim price, $23,900. Prices tested, $26,935.
Wow.
Base entry-level price, $20,400. Get some today.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
that's
first time buyer.
Good price.
Competitors, the Mazda CX-30 starts at $23,225. The Buick Encore, which was kind of surprising when I did the research here, it starts at $24,600. And the Hyundai Kona, which is probably the closest to it, starts at $21,685. That's the review of the 2024 Chevy Trax. All new from the ground up. This is not the old model. That didn't go over too well, and I think that this one will. And it's a lot of it has to do with the price point on it.
The price point and the look.
And the look. And that interior, that dashboard, spot on. Loved it. All right. The In Real Time Car Talk Show is available 24/7 through the iHeartRadio app. Just look for In Real Time Car Talk. We also video stream on Facebook, YouTube, and InRealTime.com. And podcasts are also now on YouTube, but they're also at your fingertips on over a dozen of the most popular podcast outlets. The In Real Time Car Talk Show continues right after this quick break. Everyone at the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy, thank you for participating in the best cruise in around and look forward to seeing you again. You'll hear about the next cruise in date right here on In Real Time. Next time you're in the West Houston Energy Corridor area, be sure and stop in at the original Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex at I-10 and Highway 6 or the Katy location on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard. When passing through Beaumont or College Station, stop in and have Lupi's award-winning beef fajitas and frozen margaritas. There's always a celebration at Lupi Tortilla. Lupi Tortilla founder Stan Holt and his wife Sheila are winning racers on the NHRA drag racing circuit and have a collection of hot rods and classics that everyone appreciates. Look for them at the next Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise-In. The date will be announced soon and will once again be held at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex on 99 and Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 and Katy. We'll give you all the details right here on the In Real Time Car Talk Show and online. Donations benefit God's Garage. We'll see you then. You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. The award-winning In Real Time Car Talk Show is available on the most popular podcast channels out there in 30-minute episodes. We realize our 3-hour live show can be difficult to catch in its entirety, so now you can listen every day to a convenient, fresh 30-minute episode. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Audible, along with a dozen more. In Wheel Time has the most informative automotive guest interviews and new car reviews, along with popular features including Conrad's Car Clinic and This Week in Auto History, along with automotive news headlines. Our live broadcast airs every Saturday, 8 to 11 Central on InWheelTime.com, the iHeart app, and on YouTube. Be sure to say hello when we're broadcasting from the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise-In, Autorama, and the Houston Auto Show, among others. Now, it's easier than ever to hear about all things automotive all week long. You're invited to join fellow car enthusiasts in becoming part of the ever-growing In Wheel Time Car Talk family. Don't forget those 30-minute podcast episodes on your favorite podcast channel. That's it for this podcast episode of the In Wheel Time Car Show. I'm Don Armstrong, inviting you to join us for our live show every Saturday morning, 8 to 11 a.m. Central on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and our InWheelTime.com website. Podcasts are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeart Podcast, Podcast Addict, TuneIn, Pandora, and Amazon Music. Keep listening, and we'll see you soon.